Querido Patch, cuando vi la película, tuve una gran inspiración por tu vida. Y mi pregunta es, ¿te sirvió la película? ¿Qué sentiste? ¿Cómo viviste esa película? Es raro ver una película de uno mismo. Ahora viéndote acá y escuchándote, es apenitas una partecita así de lo que yo pude recibir en la película. Para mí fue inspiradora, pero verte acá y escucharte es mucho más. ¿Qué te sirvió la película? ¿Cómo lo viviste? ¿Te hizo feliz?
There's a history. I haven't watched a TV show in 35 years. I think it's poison. So imagine what I think of pop culture that's made a sports figure important and a school teacher nothing. So, why did I do the movie, which is pop culture? There are movies that are art. The United States doesn't make very many of those anymore. They mostly make movies for money. I have a project in the United States for 43 years, a hospital that eliminates 90% of the cost of hospital care in a country that has no idea how to slow the inflationary rise of health care, almost 20% now of the GNP. And almost nobody has contributed to this hospital. So almost all of its running has come from money I make, for example, today. I chose not to own anything and to give whatever I make to this communal hospital. So 28 years into the project, where no foundation, our government, nobody had been interested in helping us build a hospital, and a hospital is expensive, so I don't have a hospital. I realized that what sells in the United States is fame. This is the currency. So, after years of refusing publicity, I allowed publicity. I knew that meant not that ideas would become famous, but that I would have to be a famous person. My worst nightmare. If you watch me, I run from you if you want a photograph. I want a conversation. But I'm not a monument. And I was really glad that this movie was made when I was 52 and not 22. When I first read the script of the movie, I wept at how stupid it made me. The movie wanted to sell tickets, not to honor our work of free medicine and to show a political activist doctor with great ideas, because there are no happy hospitals in the world. It's not just the United States, and the cost of care, hierarchy, where all over the world a doctor can walk in a nursing station and be rude, and everybody's silent. And I hear from medical students from 120 countries write me letters, and they're all complaining about their system of delivery of care. So I decided I would make a contract with the devil, pop culture, because it was more important that we build a hospital than that I maintain some kind of purity. I became a whore, if you might, this image. And when I read the script, I couldn't believe how stupid they made me. But I knew this. I was prepared. I fought the director, and the director says, I know what I'm doing. So we went over the director's head to the head of the studio and said, you have to put some compassion in this movie. So then the director hated me because he was all powerful. And 27, which is a really bad age to be all powerful. And so every day he promises I get to be in the movie and never puts me in the movie. Puts my son in the movie. Okay, so they changed the script a little bit, and I see the movie, and I realized a movie with my name on it does not mention peace and justice. So it's not me. I'm about peace and justice and ending the capitalist system. You don't see that in the movie. You see homogenized jokes of stories I told you. So if you saw my movie of the noodle bag, you would wonder why theirs is so tame. Because I have been a very funny doctor. I take clowns into war. Funny is my style. But that's not what I'm about. I'm about ending violence and injustice. But this doesn't sell tickets. And so when the movie came out, I was embarrassed about the movie. Because everybody that knows me is going, where's peace and justice? It would have been a much more interesting movie. It would have been deeper, about free medical care, about the joy of the practice of medicine, giving your patients time, and many other things, instead of a string of jokes. However, I have grown to love the movie. Why? Because since the movie, over 3,000 projects have written me and said, from 120 countries, and said, I saw your movie 30 times. I'm going, holy shit. How did you see the movie 30 times? Okay, I saw the movie 30 times and I started this clinic. I started this school. I started this orphanage. Over 3,000 projects write me, so I can imagine 20,000 didn't write me. And over 50,000 letters, and I have them as a stat, people can see them, where somebody says, I saw your movie when I was in high school, I'm now a doctor in Africa. I hear it everywhere I go. So what is it? Okay, I've grown to love the movie because when we learn to read in school, we read a book called Dick and Jane. Okay, Dick and Jane, see the dog Spot. Jane throws a ball to Spot. Spot picks up the ball. And from this we learn reading. We learn Dick and Jane so that we can read Cortazar and Borges and Neruda and the hundreds of Latin writers I have read and Spanish writers. But we have to start with Dick and Jane. And so the movie is Dick and Jane. And there's so few pop culture stories of care, of love, that maybe they need a really simple Dick and Jane version to graduate to ending violence and injustice. So because the movie has had astounding consequences that I can't believe, every day, okay, I'll go to the airport today to fly to Japan, and wherever I go, people will come up and say, excuse me, you're Patch Adams. And then they tell me a story of how that movie saved their daughter, okay? And it doesn't really save them, but they think in the same way you read Don Quixote, and you can dream and do it like me. That you take from the arts, from culture, in the same way you can read the Bible. And if you decide to be a Christian, it means you're going to be like Christ. Not worship Christ, oh Christ. Be Christ. That's what a Christian is. If you're not like Christ, you're not a Christian. You're fake. And so the movie is an introduction to what I've been talking about here. And that's why I answer all my mail. That people see the film, then they go to our website. I don't know how to get to our website, but my address is there, and they write. And they write if they're a troubled 31-year-old daughter, or somebody with a music therapist who wants to know how can we make a shopping mall fun? How can we take a shopping mall and use it as a trick to make a healthy society where you think you're going shopping, but what you're really doing is being seduced by care? They're thinking about writing, they're not. They're writing Patch Adams too. We are approaching Jeff Bridges to be me when I'm older. Why am I doing it? I'm a whore. I don't have a hospital. And so I don't care what I have to do as long as it's not violence and injustice. To show a hospital at 10% of the cost, because Argentina would like to see a hospital at 10% of the cost. But more importantly, a cheap hospital, a hospital that's wonderful to work in, where no doctors are rude, where the actual care is not burning you out, but stimulating you to loving care. Somebody else.